Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to continue our fall season sew along. Do you still have some fall fabric scraps? Well, I hope so. I've got all of the measurements in the description box. I would love you to sew along with me. Today's project is a pumpkin potholder. Well, let's get started and I'll show you how it's done. The pumpkin potholder we'll be making today, it does come with a little loop, but that's actually just an option. If you'd like to leave that off, you can. And also you can use batting, but I also like to use what is called Insul Bright. It's great for items that you're going to have heat to. So a little bit more of a good insulation. And I'm going to begin making the back of the pod holder with my fabric scraps. First, lay your one scrap down, and then you're going to face the other one right sides together, and then sew. And sew at 1/4 of an inch, and then fold over and repeat until your whole Insul Bright or batting is covered. And now once I have my fabric scraps sewn onto the Insul Bright or the batting, and then I'll iron and then trim. And I am trimming the block to 8-inch square. And now we're going to be using our green and background fabric, and that's going to be the leaf. And we're going to draw a line in the center of the lighter fabric, and then we're going to be making a half square triangle. Now we're going to prepare our half square triangles for the corners of the pumpkin in the same fashion as we did with the leaf. Now with a 2.0 stitch length, we're going to sew on the drawn lines. And I did chain piece my blocks together, so first I need to cut the little blocks apart, and then we're going to be trimming 1 to 1/4 of an inch on either side of the drawn line. And now we need to be ironing our blocks. What I like to do, since it's a small piece, I prefer to iron with the seams open, but you can also iron to one side. And now we need to be trimming our blocks down to 1.5 inches. As you can see, they do sell these rulers at a real small size, but I really prefer to use a larger ruler. That's just my preference. I feel like they're a little bit more safe. And now we're going to start laying out our blocks for sewing. I like to use a little design board, and I'll leave a link in the description box how you can make a design board for under $1. It's not necessary, but to me it's very convenient. So what I like to do is place out all my little blocks, and then we're going to be sewing column 1 to column 2.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today, and I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of
And I will be sewing with a scant 1/4 of an inch.
Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh,
And then prior to adding column 3 to column 2, I like to iron.
oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day. I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke.
And now I'll be adding my other blocks, but I will be pinning prior to sewing.
Fix what has been broken and take this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the cold.
And now for column 3 and 4, I only sew the small blocks together first, and then I'll be adding my top piece. As you can see, it's double the size.
Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try.
And now sew the 2 sides together.
Oh, and the darkness starts to fade.
And now I'm going to be adding the top and the bottom border and then the sides after that's sewn, and then trim. And now I'm going to be doing some top stitching or quilting. I'm just going to use diagonal lines. You can do it vertical. You can also do like in the seams if you like. There's no preference. It's just whatever you prefer. What I'm doing is sewing approximately a 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch apart. And I also like to use a 3.0 stitch length. And repeat for the back side. And now trim. And now it's time to make our loop. First, fold it in half lengthwise and iron. And once ironed, open it up and then put your raw edges into the center and iron. And then fold once more and then sew 1/8 of an inch on the outer side. And for your loop, you can go in the corner or even at the top, but just make sure that the bended part is facing in and the raw edge on the out. And now I'm going to pin and then sew. now I'm going to be placing the front and the back right sides together. And it doesn't matter the position if you would like your back vertical or horizontal. It's all up to you. And now I'm going to be marking a line approximately 3 to 4 inches apart, and that's where we're not going to sew, so we can be turning the potholder right side out. And now I'm going to pin and then trim and sew. And now remove pins, and then we're just going to clip the corners there, but be sure not to go through your stitching. And then we're going to be turning it right side out. What I like to do is insert my thumb, push with my fingers, and then pull. I first use my fingers to go all the way around to all the corners, and then I'll use a dowel rod. And then I like to kind of roll the seams and then insert the raw edges into our opening there, and then iron, and then I'll go around and top stitch approximately 1/4 of an inch all the way around. I sure hope you guys are enjoying the fall season sew along. I know I have, and I'm getting rid of my scrap fabrics. I'm so excited. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week. We got a couple more blocks. Happy sewing.